Purpose Rwanda as an idea is rooted in the belief and commitment of saving and transforming lives that leads to positive, purposeful, and addiction-free generation. With its various benefits, which are healthy population, active citizens engaged in productive activities that enhance increase in income levels, investment and savings, reduction in poverty levels, peace within an individual, the family, and the community. Drugs, alcohol, and sex addictions undermine human values and aspirations, resulting into undesirable consequences including mental health crisis, school dropouts, early and unwanted pregnancies, rising crime rates, increasing number of delinquents, poverty, and avoidable death, as this should be prevented from causing all this harm. Purpose Rwanda Show at KC2 aims at fighting addictions, supporting discovery and growth of life purposes towards the realization of self-sufficiency. Follow this show on KC2 every Saturday at 7 p.m. with Adams Quizera. Well, it's always a pleasure to be having you here on KC2. As always, I'm Adams Quizera. This is Purpose Rwanda Show for purposeful and addiction-free Rwanda. And today I'm joined by Dennis Akanwanaho, who will be with us in today's show. Dennis, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much, Adams. It's always a pleasure to be here in the studios of KC2.
Well, before we dive into today's conversation and our today's topic, who is Dennis?
Wow, It's amazing. I never get used to that question. Dennis is a born-again Christian. I am a married man. And currently I have moved from rehabilitation into empowering young leaders, emerging leaders, and I serve with an international organization called Kurumbuka Leadership Solutions here in Kigali. And I serve with their Emerging Leaders program as a TREC resident leader and also a facilitator in that program.
Well, that's Dennis Akangana, who will be with us in today's show. So today's topic is very interesting, and I think Dennis, it will be very nice to be having Dennis for this topic. I think you will elaborate more about it. Today's topic will be tackling on fostering positive peer influences and role models for a generation free from addiction. So this topic is very sensitive due to even the generation that is that we are currently living in. It is really pushed by this peer pressure, and peer influence as such. Then starting, Dennis, why does it matter to foster positive peer influence and role models in order to achieve the shared goals and shared dream of a generation free from addiction?
Yeah, thanks once again. I think it's very significant to have these positive peer influences and role models for two main reasons I can think of. One is in prevention of addictions, or even in the journey for those who are trying to get out of them. They need these positive environments to enable them to get to acquire new skills, new values, new attitudes, new behaviors. And also for the role models, it's good to know someone who has been there and to walk this journey with you. And I always tell young people that direction is more important than speed. And that's where the role models come in. That's how significant they are. If I was coming to KC2 and you phone me somewhere in Nyamata going eastwards or southwards, no matter the speed I'm traveling at, I would never get here. Exactly. So that's how we need these role models in our lives, especially for the young people.
Well, this got me to this question: how can this peer influence can be built or be shaped?
It's also a good question. It's a huge question at that because I think it is a collaborative approach, really, to me. It takes families, it takes schools, it takes communities, it takes the media, just like we are here talking about it. And for families, especially the parents and guardians, it's good to create this good environment for the teenagers. You know, young people, as they grow between 12 and 20, they become more distant to their parents.
Absolutely.
They think parents don't understand what they are going through. They don't listen to them. So
even this kind of generational conflicts.
Yeah, they are always there. It's amazing. When we were young, they say kids of nowadays. Now we also see young people and say kids of nowadays. But it's good to understand these young people, listen to them, and guide them on what kind of friends they should and what they should move with and have. And even in schools, they need to create good, positive peer cultures, no tolerance to bullying or violence of any nature, and encouraging young people to work together to solve their own problems. And even in the communities, I'm thankful that we have many programs here that target the youth, good government programs. And these are some of the ways that we build this positive peer influences and role models in today.
Like, do you think those approaches to target the youth to be around, I mean, even those in administrative ways, the approach of being around the youth, like, you know, currently we have the Ministry of Youth and Arts. Do you think, was it even the approach to influence for this peer influence we are talking about, and be around those youth we are talking about?
Yes, I think they have done an amazing job, really. And it's up to the youth to be active and be proactive and be part of these programs. We have Youth Connect. The other day we were seeing volunteers.
Youth volunteers.
Youth volunteers. We have Rugero Rofovakis. We have Itorero. What has the ministry not done to create these platforms that can instill the good values that the young people need?
Then how can fostering these positive peer influences and role models within communities can contribute to preventing the addiction among the young generation we are talking about? Because nowadays we are seeing like a very huge number of the youth dragging themselves into drug addictions, you know, and such things. Then how can this prevent them from going there?
Their contribution is in two ways. For the peer influence, or the positive peer influence, it creates, it instills in the youth better values. Like, it dissociates them from the wrong groups, because they are now engaged in other activities that are proactive and they feel they have a sense of belonging. I always also give an example of Wi-Fi. I have my phone with me here, but for me to connect to one connection, I have to disconnect from the other.
Yeah.
It's not possible to connect to both things.
Sure.
So the more you involve them in these, in their peers who are positive influencers, somehow they end up being detached from the negative influences. And how does a role model contribute, as I've already said, to addiction-free generation? I'll use a story that I had recently, and it impacted me. It spoke to me volumes, and it's about this man who was walking on the street and he falls in a ditch or a hole, and he cannot climb up the hole, and people keep passing by. And I think a doctor passed and he's like, help, help. And the doctor looked at him and wrote some prescription and threw it there in the hole and moved away. And also another person, a priest, comes and he writes a prayer and throws it and doesn't help. Then this guy notices his friend coming. He's like, hey, help me, I'm stuck down here. And the friend jumps into the hole. And when he jumps in there, the guy who was stuck is like, are you stupid? Now we are both stuck here. Should have sent a rope or something or a ladder and get me out. And the friend was like, don't worry, I have been here before. I know the way out. So that is exactly what role models do.
Yeah.
They have been through it. and they have walked it, and they have an authority that speaks into the lives of these young people.
Sure. Do you think that, like at some point, the role model can mislead?
Of course, we are talking about positive peer influences. If there is positive,
like for me, I could think that you are my role model. Maybe like for you, your role modeling approach is misleading. How can you explain that? Like when the youth are in that position of selecting or choosing their role models?
that's very important and very key. It's good you're on the Purpose Rwanda TV show. And for you to pick a role model, there should be someone that's in the direction of what you think you want in life.
Yeah.
Someone who will help you get to the destination. And usually you base on someone who has been through it. Maybe you are struggling with maybe even the addictions and you want to come out. And one of the key factors that once you're out, you change environment and you also get someone to walk the journey with you. Otherwise, if you follow someone or imitate someone, and there are many wrong role models, I can say that, especially in the media platforms that young people look up to and imitate. So for a young person to know that this is good for me, it's because every day they are helping you to move towards your purpose or what you live for, what you wish to see in your future.
Well, there is this proverb in English that says charity begins at home. And there's in this scenario where a parent attempts to offer guidance to a son or his child, you know, and maybe a son, when a parent is trying to stop his son from alcohol, the son begins to say, you know, I'm drinking because of you. You know, this is where it began. And this goes to this question. What is your perspective on this youth and fathers scenario in relation to role models for a generation free from addiction? Because we've been talking to communities, but before going there out those communities, there is a family where they belong to. Which we can say is the foundation of their being. Yes. So, what is your perspective on this scenario? Like for a father and a son, like a father was a drunkard, and the son is also growing in that way, and because he's thinking like, when you are my father, I have to. You are also acting like my role model. So,
yeah, I briefly talked about it in families regarding how they should treat with their young people. But it's all about knowing how to strike a balance, not being too lenient with the child, and also not being too strict and trying to show them who is boss around. Because when you try to force them, because these are now young people who are growing into making their own decisions, creating their own support groups. So when you keep enforcing them, they say, come on, I am grown up, or I'm growing.
And that's exactly what happens most of the time. Like for some youth, young people who are in teenage, like 15 or 16, 18 years, you find that you can be leading him or her, and he says, no. You don't know what I need, and you find that he or she can begin to fight. Like
there is a choose parents that they don't understand, and they don't listen.
You are generation Alpha. I'm generation Theta. You know.
So it's good to listen to the young people and also to empathize with them, and from that point you are able to guide them easily. But if you try to force them, what they do is that they go underground.
Of course.
Because they know what you like and what you don't. It's easy for them to put on a show and yet continue doing whatever they do behind your back when you're not watching. So it is key how you communicate and make your intentions clear. Make them know that they are valued, they are appreciated, you understand what they are going through, and guide them. And also practice what you preach, because you may tell them to do things that your own are not doing. And the Banyarwanda said that they learn by watching more than by hearing.
But there is this they say also like Do what I say?
Not what I
do.
Yeah, that is counterproductive, really. That's counterproductive because they say knowledge is power, but character is authority. If your character is flawed, then you will not appeal to someone's heart or their mind.
Yeah.
They will just put it up, but you will not speak to them from a certain place because you yourself, when you're put on the scales, you're found wanting.
Dennis, we are living in a digital world, and I want to ask you this question. When choosing a role model, I will choose someone whom I see on social media or on TV or somewhere else. And maybe the person might be faking his or her life. You know, sometimes we have many cases around on that. Like, what is your advice, and how could you explain this scenario, like for some of the youth who are living this digital world? How can they be sincere when they are choosing their role models through those social medias, through those digital platforms?
It is not. I would not advise people to choose role models that they are not able to meet and talk to.
And you find most of the times that that's what happens.
Because they can only be a role model if they can walk with you. You talk to them and you hear from them and you understand with them. And that's the negative influence that media has on the young people. That if you don't dress like so-and-so, if you don't look like so-and-so, if you don't speak like so-and-so, you're not cool or you're not something like that. But what I would tell the youth is that please get someone to follow as a role model that you can easily relate with on a daily basis. Yeah, don't struggle to fit in. Because if you're struggling to fit in, then maybe we are meant to stand out.
Yeah, like... During your experience at Purpose Rwanda and the like-minded organizations, what are the strategies or initiatives have been most effective in promoting healthy behaviors and reducing substance abuse? I mean, those drug abuse, especially through positive peer influences we're talking about, and role modeling.
The key strategies I can think of. Maybe I did tell you, but I've been through addictions myself many years.
Absolutely, that's where I was about to go. Like, should we go there first? I wanted you to demonstrate first, like in short, your personal experience.
My personal. So what really works is, first of all, is prevention. We should put more effort in prevention than trying to rehabilitate, because I realize that it's harder to rehabilitate than to prevent the young people. And also another thing that I noticed is you cannot do something for these young generations without them being involved. There is a way, that's why we're calling it peer influence. Equals influencing, people who are equal at the same level, influencing one another. And I always have seen that where the young people take initiative to reach out to the others. And you train a few who reach out to the others. I am a purposeful agent of change. And I find it easier to reach out to those people, to the young people. So one is prevention strategies. Two is involving the young people themselves in combating or addictions or leading one another. And three is also service. Service may seem a little bit off, but I've noticed that as young people or anyone, when you seek to help, when you seek to serve others, ultimately you're serving yourself and you're helping yourself. And that's why we are talking about the youth programs.
Sure.
It is very hard to be involved in such programs. The more you look to yourself, the more you seek pleasure and things that really are elusive. You're always running after, but when you're looking to what you can do for others and how you can contribute, those strategies really, actually, they really work.
Have they worked for you?
Yeah, I'm speaking not from a textbook.
In brief, how?
I'm speaking from what I've seen work in my life and the lives of those that I work with on a daily basis.
Yeah. Like, do you think, is it more quick understandable for the youth when they're involved in these programs, like programs dedicated to them?
It is much more understandable because you are the same they are at the same level. It's like when you're greeting a child and they have to look up to you, but when you bend low at an eye level, they listen, they take interest. So even young people, they will say, this guy has been through it all. Now he doesn't want us to try.
Yeah.
But when a fellow person comes and it's like, look, I didn't have to do this, I didn't have to do this, or I did this and this failed, this worked. They're like, oh, perhaps I didn't know. Maybe I'm not special. So they understand one another from their level more than a top-down approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sometimes even know that this youth, sometimes, yes, it's very hard for them to understand. But as you said, when their peers coming, they understand more. Because when it's the same way when they go in those negative ways, they are really attracted by their peers. But when they are in that positive way, they also have to be attracted by their peers. Then, Dennis, before we conclude, I want you, in your opinion, what are the key factors that influence the success of those programs aimed at creating generation from free from addiction?
One key factor is the culture. For a program to be successful, there is one quote, some guy said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. You may have all these plans and strategies to combat or to do good, but you have not cultivated a good culture that helps the people involved to implement those strategies. And therefore, I would wish to say that stick to character and culture, because when you do something that you truly are, it's more important than just putting plans and strategies for things that you don't even apply or even really believe in.
You said culture. How do you think culture can involve in this, like in both ways, in influencing this youth to drug themselves in addiction, in drug abuse and addiction? And how do you think can also pull them out from those addictions?
It is a process. Culture takes time. Culture is out of character, who you are and what you do and what you stand for. But character is as a result of habits and behaviors. Habits are as a result of attitudes and mindsets. So it all begins from changing mindsets, changing attitudes, then it culminates into changing behaviors. These behaviors become habits, good habits in this case, and the good habit becomes a good character of integrity and other things, and that is what breeds the culture ultimately.
In your introduction, we are concluding actually. Like in your introduction, you said you are born again Christian. Yeah. We talked much about the community, about the family. What's the role of church in this? What do you think the church can contribute in this peer influence we're talking about?
Yeah, the church helps in change of mindset, through discipleship courses, through youth programs. These are things that help young people to be empowered, to renew their minds. And in their renewal of their minds, they they transform rather than conform to what they see in the environment. Yeah, and maybe as I conclude, as a church, for me, we follow the greatest example that ever lived, and that is following Christ. Because there's one story of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's a book for young people about a young girl who followed a rabbit. into a hole. She was curious. She's a rabbit with a watch, and it is saying time bad, and she kept following it and fell into a ditch, found herself in a strange place.
Yeah.
So whether you realize it or not, young people out there, you're following someone. In what you listen to, in what you do, in what you watch, what you read, you're following. But the greatest example to follow is Jesus Christ. Because when you follow all of those other role models here, like you're saying, sometimes you find yourself in strange places that you didn't start out seeking for. So as a Christian, the ultimate role model would be Jesus Christ. Because he never changes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dennis Akangwanao, for this message you've been delivered to most of our audience. And before concluding, one more. What is your closing message to specifically the youth? And even we are not only followed by the youth, but also we might be followed by their parents also.
My closing remarks would really to encourage the parents and the youth out there to seek out the wonderful programs, government programs that are out there. Like I told you about the program that I serve with, it's called the TREK program. It's for high school graduates, a 3-month course. You can seek out, there are many others that you can come, learn about character, learn about leadership, servant leadership at that. Learn about discipleship. These are things that will empower you and keep you in a good environment, and also connect you to the real positive role models that we seek out.
Well, thank you. That's Dennis Akangwanao, our today's guest in Purpose Rwanda Show. And as we conclude, you can follow Purpose Rwanda on our various digital platforms, X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also watch our latest recordings on our YouTube channel, Purpose Rwanda. Then I'll say thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And we look forward to invite you again and share us these very brilliant ideas like the one you shared today.
Of course, yeah, sure.
Yeah, until next time, I'm Adams Kwizera, and this is KC2, La Povo.
Purpose Rwanda as an idea is rooted in the belief and commitment of saving and transforming lives that leads to positive, purposeful, and addiction-free generation. With its various benefits, which are healthy population, active citizens engaged in productive activities that enhance increase in income levels, investment and savings, reduction in poverty levels, peace within an individual, the family, and the community. Drugs, alcohol, and sex addictions undermine human values and aspirations, resulting into undesirable consequences including mental health crisis, school dropouts, early and unwanted pregnancies, rising crime rates, increasing number of delinquents, poverty, and avoidable death, as this should be prevented from causing all this harm. Purpose Rwanda Show at KC2 aims at fighting addictions, supporting discovery and growth of life purposes towards the realization of self-sufficiency. Follow this show on KC2 every Saturday at 7 p.m. with Adams Kwizera.